Okay, we're back. In this episode in our goat series, we're going to talk about Coccidia. It'll be a little shorter episode, but Coccidia is the bane of many people's goat existence. So I think it's important to talk about and focus on a little bit. First, the Coccidia of goats are known as Eimeria species. Your puppy and kitten Isosporus coccidia will not be infecting your goats, and your goats won't be infecting your puppies and kittens with coccidia. But this parasite is good at getting around. The parasite is spread by the fecal oral route. This means that your goat has to eat poop to get this parasite. Unfortunately, that really more easily occurs than what most people would like to happen. We live in a rather poopy world, and most of us seem to be on the downhill side of the world. Remember in the last episode how we discussed proper management of keeping the goats from eating off the ground? This is one of the reasons why. Because the parasite's infective stages is in the poop, and poop spreads all over the ground. This also means that the coccidia is self-limiting. If the animal does not eat poop, then the coccidia will all leave the body and we do not have to worry about more parasites. So like we talked about in the last episode, there are ways of feeding, such as off the ground and in hay racks, that limit the amount of poop that gets to mouth level. That seems simple, doesn't it? How much better would the world be if everything just followed my advice? Don't eat poop. Well, that's just not enough. It seems things like eating poop. The animals that tend to get coccidia the worst are not the animals eating out of the food troughs mounted off the ground. Goat kids or the young are the most susceptible to coccidia. While I have seen adults with coccidia, in general, adult animals can fight the parasite off, so I see much less of it in adults. The babies, however, are nursing from the mother, and where are the mother's teats? Near the ground, near the splash zone. So babies get infected and have significant problems with coccidia. What makes coccidia even harder to deal with is its long life cycle. It has a 21-day life cycle where the goat eats oocytes, or protozoal eggs, that are found in the feces. The protozoal parasite then gets in the small intestinal cells and makes lots of baby eggs. At the correct time, the majority of the baby parasites burst out of the intestinal cells. When they do, this destroys the intestinal cells, which causes the clinical signs we associate with coccidia: smelly diarrhea. This diarrhea or poop then spreads into the environment and starts to cycle over. You would think coccidia would not be much of a problem. It's a self-limiting disease. If the goat doesn't eat any feces infected with coccidia, then they won't get reinfected and the coccidia are gone. Unfortunately, it's not so simple. It's hard to clear an environment of coccidia because it can survive in moist soil for up to a year. Poop gets more places than you would think, and if it's moist, the coccidia survive well. So cleaning an environment is helpful, but not always 100% effective when you are dealing with outdoor environments. Sunlight and freezing will kill coccidia, but we aren't getting good freezes in Kentucky for the past few winters. And many pastures have areas that the sun does not get to easily. What is the other problem? Rain. Coccidia loves rain in moist environments. When it rains, it dilutes the poop and spreads it out all over the ground. Then the coccidia get down into soil and waits. When it rains again, the water allows the coccidia to come out of the soil and get on the grass that goats are being forced to eat. Remember, goats should be eating at eye level. Then the coccidia starts its 21-day life cycle. Then what happens? About 2 to 3 weeks later, I get a call that those dang goats have coccidia again. What happens is people tend to say the drug that we are using to treat coccidia is not working. In reality, this is just the life cycle. The drug worked fine, and then the goats got reinfected. What are the drugs used to treat coccidia? Corid and dimethoxone are my two go-to drugs. I like Corid the most, although the dosing can be a little complicated. as I have made my own dosing that goes for a full 21 days, 5 days of treatment and 16 days of control. It is hard for people to treat for so long, but I find it effective combining a treatment and preventative protocol to hit this entire life cycle of the parasites. Granted, a lot of people call me back saying their goats have Coccidia again, but as I said, I feel they're getting reinfected. Often they call me back 21 days after the most recent rain. No, it's not that the drugs didn't work, it's that Coccidia were in the ground and came up out of it in the rain to get eaten by the goats. Coccidia are challenging to producers because they are in the environment and reinfection is easy. So that's all I've got for this episode. Next episode we'll pick up with vaccinations for goat and then some talks about the problematic male goat. Problematic male goat. I'm Dr. Nathan. Thanks for listening. I hope our discussions are valuable to you and aid in giving perspective. If you want to contact us, please reach out to theveterinarypodcast@gmail.com. You can find a complete list of the podcast episodes on SoundCloud. If you find this information helpful and want more content, please join our Patreon, patreon.com/theveterinarypodcast. And don't forget to follow our Facebook page, facebook.com/theveterinarypodcast. As always, thanks for listening, and I hope this information is helpful to you. If you do find it helpful, please like it, share it, so other people may find it helpful as well.